What's number 4 like? Dealer is at hole 116. Opponent is 109.
Where are you at?
And you really pick up a lousy hand, right? How many folks do this when they're down there and you look at your card and say, why'd this happen to me? Is there any way you can get out with this hand? Might not be, but you might be able to make it close. That is, keep that small card in the 3 face card. Got a jack, a 5, or a deuce. Queen, put you close. Oh, I see. All we need is 5. Yeah, we just need 5 points. So, but you see the rationale for holding a small card with the 3 face cards, even though it's a lousy hand. There are a few cards that'll put you out. The queen, the jack, the 5, the deuce. Then we're going to play it. We play it for the game because it looks like we're not going to get another hand to do it. No time for defense there. Number 5, own position. Your position is 98, your opponent is 112. Your hand is a 7, 8, 5, 9, 10 ace. Discard the 1, 5 to the dealer. In other words, you can't win this game. 7, 8, 9, 10. If you cut the 7 or 8, you got 14. So you can cut the spread. Don't worry about the 5 in the crib. In fact, with the 7, 8, 9, 10, you might throw a pair of 5s. Where your opponent is sitting in this game, you know, all you're doing is cutting the spread. You're not going to write the game in the win column. Now, in number 6, we're at 117, and our opponent is 115. And you are dealing. Own position is 117, and you have the deal. So, most likely, the way you'll win this game is to peg out. You need 4 pegs. The opponent is 115, counting first. Your hand is a deuce jack, 1, 6, 9, 7. Discard the 1 jack and retain the 2, 6, 7, 9. Do you see the pegging potential that exists in the 2, 6, 7, 9? Actually, 2/3 of the hands that could be possible, you have a chance to peg. In other words, if your opponent's holding a double run of face cards, or a face card with a 5, you got the deuce and the 9, you get the 31, and you still got the 6, 7 to trap the 5. If your opponent is playing middle cards and leads the middle card, you hop on whatever it is. Because you can give them, you can't give them 6, but you can give them 5. And the idea is for you to get 4. So you're going to take the first 2. You're going to take the first 2 that comes along.
If they lead to 7?
If they lead to 7, that's it's a little iffy. I would probably pair it, but the 9 is a pretty good play. If they pair it, you can go 31 for 2, but remember we need 4 pegs. So for me, I'm going to take the first 2. I have found along the way that if I skip the first 2, I don't get them later. So, but you'll have to arrive at that decision in your play. But generally in the end of game situation, if you decide, well, I can pick up 2 later, It doesn't happen. Oh, I would be inclined to take the first two, although I don't like the 7 too well, holding the 2, 6, 7, 9. Now, by the way, I mentioned the 2, 6, 7, 9. There is an argument for holding a 1, 2, 6, 7 also. There is, it's almost as good. With the opponent being that close to being out, they might not hold a bunch of face cards. With that close to being out, they might find some flimsy little 5 points in there, or 6. And so sometimes a 1, 2, 6, 7 works good. Anyway, in this game, we got the pegs and won the game by a point. The last one here is in your own position, you're at 54, your opponent is 45. Actually, you've got a terrific advantage, right? Or do you? No? You got a disadvantage. What are your cards? 4, 7, 7, 9, 10, queen. Discard 7, 7. Now, of course, you wouldn't do that if you had a 15, if you had a 1 to go with those 7s, or if you had a 6 or an 8, you wouldn't pull a pair of 7s out of there. But where there's standalone pairs, good idea to put them in the crib. You don't have a 15 with them, and you don't have a card that touches them either side. There's several reasons for putting these standalone pairs in the crib. One, the fact that you got 2 7s increases the chance that your opponent will pitch an 8. It increases the chance that they'll pitch a 6. It increases the chances that they'll pitch a 6 and an 8. Because a 6 and an 8 don't work very damn well if you don't have 7s. So quite often, a standalone pair works pretty good in the crib. For those reasons. It's not the cribbage god or anything else. It's if it's a standalone pair, you've actually skewed the mathematics in favor of the discard that might result to your crib. If the person has those cards you're looking for, there's a good chance they'll be in your crib. You also increase the chances that you'll cut something other than a 7, because you've got 2 of them already. And so in terms of the cut of the deck, there's an increased likelihood that you might get an 8 or a 6 on the cut, because you've already got 2 of the 7s in your possession. And the cut have to be a 6 in this case. But we like where we were, didn't we? Didn't you like where you were? And so it's a lousy hand. Take what you can, protect your advantage. Okay. That's it. And if you don't want to get into mathematical probabilities, when you're thinking about putting a pair in your crib, as opposed to holding a pair in the hand, if you hold the pair in the hand, there's one card that'll make it work. That's going to be on the deck. If you put the pair in the crib, there's 3 cards that could potentially make it work. So you've increased the percentages considerably by putting a standalone pair on the table. Anything else? You know, that worked out just about perfect. This class outline shows that our last class is the 3rd of May, but we're not going to do that. We're going to finish up next week. I've got some really good review material and 6 pages of questions.